What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what shorts are doing, and just to give you a quick summary of their recent earnings. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, NIO is up 0.81%. So it's recovering from yesterday's kind of unjustified sell-off. Of course, that could be debated. A lot of volume getting into NIO so far this morning. 7.5 million shares being traded within the first about 20 minutes of the trading day. 60.3 is the average. No news from NIO today. No SEC filings. So there was their earnings that was submitted yesterday, but aside from that, absolutely nothing. So when it comes to their earnings, so I think somewhat the market is overreacting, but especially for those institutions and investors that did pay attention to their Q4 earnings, we already did know that their margins were going to be tight. So this is one attribute that they did miss on, because despite everything, I was kind of shaking my head when they did say this during their recent earnings or Q4, but an analyst asked them, what is your expansion plans? And they said that they actually don't intend on expanding outside of China. Rather, they were going to expand in China, and that's also, I guess, going against logic, because there was a lot of competition that they said, and so I think the analyst didn't really like that and whatever else, but nonetheless, that is what kind of resulted in the miss on the margins. On a year-over-year basis, of course, that's still increased and improved for that, but that's one thing that I think a lot of people didn't really like. And plus, aside from that, you can kind of see their actual earnings per share. They did slightly miss right here, and then the revenue was a miss of 74.99 million. And I think right now this was probably one of the first earnings that the market was actually going to be paying attention to their true metrics. In the past, I think a lot of EVs got the pass, if that makes sense, just by giving good future guidance, which NIO didn't. They gave a lot of optimistic products and just growth, but I think given the circumstances of what they did achieve, like, people were doubtful. So that's just my own interpretation, of course, based on that, but I actually really did like their earnings. Of course, it could have gone a little bit better, but still, like, I think it shouldn't have sold off as much as it did yesterday. So that's just my thoughts. I'll go over exactly their document and with a fine-tooth comb a little bit deeper, and maybe I'll do more of a deeper analysis of this upcoming weekend, so stay tuned for that. But going over some data points, as of right now, shorts are increasing 1.81 million shares. 12.1% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 157.62 million shares overall are being shorted. So I think this was kind of expected, that shorts were going to piggyback off of the negativity from their earnings. So it's kind of goes hand in hand, right? So utilization 73.17%. But aside from that, though, I'll give you a quick overview of some of the latest analyst ratings. So far, there was one that did come out today, Bank of America $6 price target. Ming, who has a 25% success rating. Aside from that, you do have, there was a couple that did come in yesterday. So 550, Bernstein, Eunice, if I'm saying that right, 45% success rating. $8.50 from Citi, Jeff, who has a 37% success rating. And then a $10 price target, Morgan Stanley, Tim, 25% success rating. So clearly, all the bad rating analysts are getting their ratings out. So, of course, take that with a grain of salt. As a consensus, so far, all of the analysts have a expectation of around $6.40. That is a 29% upside. So most likely, you're going to see a lot more analyst ratings, because this is all as a byproduct, for the most part, of their last earnings. So I think there still is quite a few that haven't given ratings. So that should be coming out probably today, if not early next week, possibly. And just to give you a good overview, this is the transcripts from the earnings recently, and these are all the ratings or the analysts that did participate. So was that 7, something like that? So probably a good 4/5 more to come out. So let me know your thoughts on that. Looking at options, this is from yesterday. I didn't want to refresh it because then it would kind of get that gone or remove it. But yesterday there was 5.14 million in calls, 3.26 million in puts. Just to refresh it to encumber today, 433,000 in calls, 1.39 million in puts. Sentiment wise, 52% of all the options being done today are bearish. So anticipating for it to trend down of the call options that are being purchased. So you do see a consensus for it to be above $5 by the end of at least this week for the most part. And then looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be below 450. So as far as the risk versus reward, there's more upside in my opinion anticipated than down, but we'll just have to wait and see. These are some of the transactions that have occurred so far in the secondary market above, actually I'll just refresh that. So far no transactions above $100,000 being done. So institutions kind of overlooking NIO today, so probably just piggybacking off the broader market due to algorithmic trading. These are some of the transactions that have occurred on the dark pool. So oddly, it has been very quiet ever since June the 4th. And so as I've said in the past, the dark pool is very much linked to shorting. So shorts just dollar value wise hasn't really been getting all that much in. Right now with it at $4.95, it was able to crawl back above, bouncing off of this S2. So $4.80 now that we do know is a very strong support. Vice versa, just watch for it to continue to flirt with this S1. So this will be the next strong target. So $4.97. And if it does get above that, then you know it could easily get back to where it was. So more of a correction in kind of justified correction, if that makes sense. So going forward for the rest of today, just watch for this S1 to break above and then potentially this pivot of $5.24. Aside from that though, you do see it bouncing off of that 50-day moving average, which generally is a good thing. Still lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. A stochastic, you do see a bearish deviation, so red line above the white, so not necessarily the best. Plus it is at 44, so that's somewhat considered neutral, so not really overbought nor oversold. So again, it is what it is. And number of retail investors are getting out, as you can kind of see based on this. So I think over this last little bit, retail has been getting tired of NIO, kind of stuck within the $4 range, 4/5. So it's gonna take time, right? This is always the backwards mentality of retail, because once NIO does get back into the, let's say the 550s, then a light bulb will click and be like, hey, it's a buying opportunity right now. Maybe I should YOLO in. So it's kind of a weird thing. So in my opinion, this is a pretty good risk versus reward at this stage, but obviously you guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. So yeah, what's your thoughts on their recent earnings? Was there any negatives that you felt is kind of justified? I was listening to their earnings call while doing a couple other things, so it didn't really have my full attention, but like I mentioned, I will go over their documents with a fine-tooth comb today, or if not tomorrow, and do a dedicated video this weekend all about it. So don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Kick-ass deal, link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.